welcome to the Cinemondo podcast with Kathy, Mark, and Burk talking about movies. I find are unusual, unique, unknown, forgotten.
Those suspenseful pauses.
Always interesting.
Always interesting.
I get so uncomfortable. I have to fill in the blanks. Just like an interrogation.
What are we talking about today? Maybe we'll talk about a hit.
Should we talk about somebody or nobody?
I don't know. Is there anybody we can talk about? I don't know.
Anybody?
I
Somebody?
can't think of anybody.
Nobody?
Nobody.
There's nobody. So we'll just talk about nobody.
How many nobody jokes can we milk out of this?
My God, way too many apparently.
Well, this movie came out a few weeks ago, and it's a huge hit. Nobody.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I like hearing movie hits.
Yeah, Bob Odenkirk, of course, from going back a long comedy writer, and of course Mr. Show, and then got his big break dramatically as Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad, and of course Better Call Saul, which is a great show too. And now this action film that's very much in the John Wick vein. In fact, is written by the screenwriter who wrote the first three John Wick films.
That's right.
So it's very much like that.
Yep.
But it's got Bob Odenkirk as Hutch Manziel, the bad guy, or the good guy. Yes.
Love that. So let's take a look at the trailer. We did an actual trailer reaction that was really fun, and we'll just play the trailer again.
Before we'd seen the film, we did a reaction to the trailer.
Yeah.
Now we've all seen it.
A month ago or something. It was a while ago.
Right.
Before we knew what it was. It was just crazy. So I'm going to play it. Oh my gosh. Okay. So now we have seen the movie. I'm going to say the entire movie was just in that trailer.
Exactly. Yeah.
I had no idea until I saw the film that how much that film was in the trailer.
You really, that's the movie.
Yeah, pretty much you've seen it now. So bye. Enjoy.
I love Odenkirk, and so he's worth watching in this film. He's just really good at sort of playing this schlubby guy, and also he's also great at doing the action stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the reason to watch the movie. I personally think the rest of it is just sort of rote. The story is nothing too exciting. The villain is not exciting. There's no other interesting stuff that works for me. And I after a while, all the gunfire and fight, I started to lose interest. And even if it's really well choreographed, which this one is, it's still, if that's all there is to the story, I sort of lose my own pretty quick. And I do that with the John Wicks. I'm not a huge John Wick fan either, so it's not surprising I felt the same way. I like this because I like Odenkirk better than I like Keanu Reeves and John Wick personally. So that's why I enjoyed it, but it's not my cup of tea.
So Mark started right off the bat with his review. We didn't even talk about what the movie was about, even though we kind of saw what it was about. So that's how Mark feels about it.
Sorry, I got it off my chest.
He couldn't wait to talk about how much he did not like this movie.
Sorry.
Did you like it or not like it?
Me?
You liked Odenkirk, but not the movie particularly.
I love Odenkirk. He's great in it. So my sense is like, if there was more to it, I would have liked it more. But I didn't hate it at all. I liked it, but it didn't. It's not my cup of. It's not my thing. It's like opera's. So basically, not my thing,
it sets up as Odenkirk's character Hutch is this family man, suburbanite, just schlub, and they have this I thought was great opening sequence of this quick cut of his day in and day out boring life. And I like how even in the trailer they show him slurping, and then as the trailer goes on, you see him slurping in the background. They show him at the bus stop drinking his coffee, then he's at work, and then he's washing his hands, and then so they do this over and over, and it's a really cool montage of like the repetitiveness of just sometimes life in general. And I think how people feel about like, oh, my life is so boring, and you're just doing the same thing every day. You wake up at the same time, you get the same thing for breakfast, you miss the trash can when you're trying to throw something away, you drink your coffee on the way to work. I mean, to a warehouse what the fuck did they do there? I don't even know. But I thought that was a great, that's right. It's work. And I love that opening sequence because I thought that alone was a cool little short film about, life.
And we can all
then
relate to that with with what's
yes,
pandemic.
the
You know,
pandemic really
sense
sends that
that.
home.
Yes. Mhm.
Exactly. And I like too that they make him seem like a really ineffectual kind of weakling who, couldn't protect his family when he has a home invasion, and his family resents him for it. And just the damn nerve of a cop to ask you, well, didn't you take a swing? It's like, no cop wants you to do that. You never
Right.
want to do that. It's like, yes, you're protecting your home,
It's like,
but when
no,
you start, just don't. So,
he had an out, I
He
mean,
did.
the person was threatening a family
Yeah.
member of
Yeah.
his in a way that,
Mhm.
if I did take a swing, they might
Yeah.
have pulled the trigger. And
Exactly.
as it was, we avoided any trigger pulling, and
Yeah, no
he could have,
escalation.
right. He could have said that, it's like,
Yeah.
we're all alive, and,
Mhm.
but the thing is, I think the idea was that he wanted them to think
Yes.
that he was this schlubby
Yeah.
weakling,
Well, you
because
start getting
he
little
didn't
hints.
he didn't want them to suspect what he really was, which is, like the trailer gives away the whole deal.
Yeah.
He's he's a military trained tactical badass who's done
assassin or something.
countless,
Mhm.
assassinations and hits, and he's an
auditor.
auditor or whatever, he works
Yeah.
for
The auditor. I love that. It's like, what are you? I'm an auditor.
the last person you want to see.
Yeah.
And that's always a cool fantasy thing, because
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys, especially, maybe middle-aged kind of guys like Bob Odenkirk, kind of feel like, wow, if that ever happened to me, would I be able to fight and stop it from happening? And it's kind of a fantasy, because you see
There's
things like
definitely
that
that
happen, and
fantasy.
you always wonder, what if that happened in my house? What if it happened in my family?
I think
Would
about
I
that
be that
sometimes.
badass? Would I be able to jump in and save my family? And would I make those snap decisions and make the right decision, or would I make things worse? Would I get myself in even a worse situation? You just don't know. But it's a fantasy to imagine in your mind, well, I could just kick their asses, and that was one of the things I liked about the beginning of the film, was the idea of, and I can't remember what film it was, but maybe like a few years ago, there was a film where the premise was basically a husband who got, he froze when his family or his wife or something was happening. His family was being attacked, and he froze, and his wife or his family were looking at him like, why didn't you at least try to help me?
Yeah.
And what that does to you as a person, and what it does to your ego, and all these things that you imagine that you might be, but you find out when it comes down to it, you are not that person. And that's what the beginning of this film was to me. I thought that was kind of cool. But then the fact that he turns out to actually be this badass,
but that was it's well, the thing I liked about it is they sort of drop little tiny hints that something's not quite as it seems. We have that weird radio with his brother that you're not sure, why is he in hiding and what's up with that? Like, that was kind of weird. And he has all those passports. Like, you knew he wasn't quite what he said. There's something up. And also, we'd all seen the trailer, so we knew.
It's pretty apparent fairly early in the film.
Yeah. Well, they don't waste. I mean, the movie feels very lean. They don't waste a ton of time. The only time I thought where it could have used editing was the whole Russian mobster introduction scene. Just seemed way too long. Like, it was one of those things like, if Odenkirk's not on the screen, I just didn't care. He
that's
absolutely
a fatal flaw.
was the heart. The only reason, really, I feel like to watch this film is Odenkirk is so spectacular and so perfectly cast, and he brings this cool aspect to the movie. I feel like if you put an action star in there, it wouldn't have it. Like, it's that comedian, that weird sort of acting style he has, that he just brought something so unique to the whole character, like his reactions, how he carried himself.
He's a bit like the old Bruce Willis, when Bruce Willis was starting
kind
out.
of comedic.
He still had that kind of cynical comedy from Moonlighting kind of guy that you
the
remember.
First Die Hard was like very much like that.
Yeah.
That's why it's considered an action.
Even
classic.
though even Bruce Willis seemed very capable and macho, and you were never in doubt, whereas Odenkirk does not have that. And so that's why he was so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Apparently he took 2 years to train for this film. That's why he's in such good shape. So
yeah.
But the scene on the bus where everything takes its turn, where he's riding home on his usual bus ride, and then those Russian thugs come onto the bus and they're harassing that woman, and he's all like, okay, now I'm good. Because he was feeling kind of ineffectual from the whole home invasion. Spectacular. Like, when I'm watching that, I was thinking, how do people imagine this fight scene, the choreograph of this fight scene. And is this in
Very
the
carefully
script?
worked out. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I love, like, who thinks of this? Like, it was so beautifully done. And just having him do that was such a surprise. I never really get tired of watching Odenkirk do this. I think that's why I ultimately did like the film, is that I just love seeing Odenkirk doing this.
Well, we like Bob Odenkirk. We like
he's
like
pure
him. He's
star
so
power.
He just has that, whatever it is.
does.
I think,
But that was one of my problems with it, though, is that you have him and you like him and you want to see him, but then in the later part of the film they pull in a couple of other characters who join him in this action thing, and to me they weren't as cool. You don't know them, first of all. They were just like almost like strangers. You kind of knew who they were, but I felt like, why did they come in? I think to me it would have been
rescuing.
I would have liked it more if he
rescuing.
did all that by himself. And he survived it alone, and he comes out of it and nobody knows what he went through. You know what I mean? He didn't share it with these two other, you know, the idea that he just did this thing and he walks away from it and he goes back to his family and nobody knows. I think that would have been a more effective way to address that type of character. But they brought in these other people. I'm like, why did you bring them in? They were, you know, it's Christopher Lloyd, who we all love,
and he was fun to watch. Seeing an old guy be tough, but
in another movie, make another movie with Christopher Lloyd and just let.
Well, apparently they might. It seems like they were setting up the franchise, right? I mean, I felt like they want this to be a thing. Well, you know, have you guys all seen the John Wick movies?
Yeah,
you've seen them.
I've seen the first one.
I couldn't watch the first one because of the dog, but I watched 2 and 3. It's a new dog, and he doesn't.
I've seen all 3.
Okay. This is that. I mean, I have not seen so much fighting, gun power, nonstop action, and numbifying, you know, assault on my senses in these movies. I mean, they are nonstop, but I feel like it has the same gag of put an actor in a movie like this that you don't expect. Keanu Reeves. Who would have expected him to be great at this, right?
In The Matrix.
Same thing.
He did, before John Wick, he was in The Matrix.
But that was kind of sci-fi, and it wasn't really real. And so, but to see him as an actual action hero was, I think, really smart. And I think they did the same thing here.
Yeah. A lot of these movies, I think, are based on some of those John Woo films, the Hong Kong action films.
Yeah.
And that's where their DNA comes from, I think. You know, because in the 90s, a lot of people were, you know, a lot of film people who love movies and kind of seek out the strange, you know, underground type stuff. A lot of people were discovering these Hong Kong action films. They weren't mainstream in America really yet, but you know, those Ringo Lam and John Woo and you know, some of the other filmmakers in Hong Kong were just overblowing the idea of gunplay and this like choreographed action, hard-boiled,
so good,
just incredible, you know,
just the continuous
slow motion,
600 people getting shot and falling down stairwells, and the scene, that one film with the hospital where they go from the floor to floor to floor, and he's just killing 500 people, and you know, Chow Yun-fat, and he's, you know, he was the original John Wick, you know.
Well, he was always very handsome and capable. He wasn't this like kind of super nerd like Odenkirk was in this movie, but definitely.
I think
cool.
Going back to the trailer, how it gives. I mean, I think if I went into this movie and the trailer was just, it didn't show that stuff, and maybe it was just a teaser that just shows him being a family man. And then with an inkling of action or something, then the movie would have really been interesting, because I wouldn't have seen. I said,
surprises.
17 minutes in, here's where the 75 minutes of nonstop action starts, and that's what happened.
So and it kind of rides on that surprise too, and it's almost like it expects you to be surprised by some things in the film, and it's like, well, no, I saw the trailer.
I feel
well, to keep in mind, I mean, they do make the movie first, and the filmmakers have no say in the trailers. That's a whole different division, you know. So I blame the client, the studio, for approving a trailer, and this is always my beef. That gives away way too much. I mean, I know it lulled us into wanting to see it. I mean, it did its job. I really wanted to see this movie. I'm disappointed that I already knew what was going to happen in every step of the way.
And
I
some
still
of the
enjoyed
coolest
it.
little set pieces. You
Yeah.
saw the resolution of them, and you saw
That great shot of him up on the stairwell where he's like got his feet against the guy and he's shooting like that. I remember seeing that in the movie going, that was so cool. Too bad I saw it in the trailer. You know,
Yeah,
it was fun.
there's like 30 or 40 cool little snippets, thing with the milk carton in the refrigerator, that kind of stuff. You've seen it. You might not remember it, but when you see the movie, you go, oh yeah, this is familiar to me.
and also that scene on the bus, which was so beautifully choreographed. But the thing is, when you watch the film, I think it would have been so much better to not know what was coming. And it's like you're with him on the bus, and these guys get on. Is he gonna do that fake routine again, where he's pretending to not be the badass that he really is, or is he gonna go, medieval on these guys? And you already know because you saw the trailer.
Well, you're waiting for that moment to happen because they tease you with it at the beginning where he doesn't do it, and you're like, wait, I want to see Odenkirk kick some ass. And so then he eventually does. I don't feel like here's the one thing I didn't get. First of all, I really enjoyed it because I just loved watching Odenkirk. I could watch him all day long. I don't care what he's doing. I just watch it. So I enjoyed it because of his pure star power and his great uniqueness. So I loved it for that. It wasn't anything new, but super fun. I didn't quite understand the dynamic with the wife at all because he came in all torn up and she didn't seem that surprised. And then she kind of patched him up and she gave me the impression of kind of like, oh, we're doing this again. Yeah. Then she acts so clueless later. And then he makes that phone call about like, I'm sorry I lied to you all these years. I'm like, wait, I thought you guys were in on this together. And then they do the whole house hunting with the basement thing again. So they never really explained what their deal was, which I thought was kind of a big empty space with that. I didn't
felt the same way.
Yeah, I did too. I thought maybe that's kind of there was some movie, some of it was edited out, and there was some more character backstory, and maybe that made sense because that just didn't make sense. It wasn't logical, their relationship.
Yeah, I didn't quite. And then he locks her in the basement, where I feel like that would have been the perfect time for him to go, let's do this. And she'd be like helping him somehow unexpectedly. That would have been a nice surprise because we weren't expecting her to be a badass, but ultimately they don't really fulfill any of that. Right. But again, like I didn't really expect a lot from this film besides what it was. And I think it was the producer of John Wick or
it was the producer,
right? Yeah. So I sort of expected what I got, but at the same time, I did find it really uniquely fun due to Odenkirk and his fun reactions, and just seeing him shot as a superhero kind of way was really fun.
Yeah.
So I'm leaning hard on the Odenkirk factor, but that really is what makes this movie special.
Well, here's a picture of you, Kathy, on stage with him.
Oh no!
When he had his shirt off.
Oh, they're so small. Oh yeah, there it is. Oh yeah. There was a comedy benefit Bob Odenkirk was there, and he called me up on stage. He wanted to do a skit, and I'm like, okay. So he gave us these lines. He takes his shirt off, and he's like, so I'm like this Southern gentleman, and I'm walking by, and you lady, and there's another woman, I'm not sure who she was. You guys are reacting to me walking by. So he's trying to be all cool walking by. And our lines are basically like, ooh, look at that fine man. And such a weird. And I remember he got on the stage. He goes, first of all, I'm not a comedian. I am an actor. So I keep getting cast as like I'm a comedian. He goes, but I do skits. So he basically did a skit and he pulled us in there to do it. That was like, now after Odenkirk, the way he's blossomed to become like this thing, I'm so like honored to have been on stage with Odenkirk in an acting capacity.
I love it.
And I am not an actor. So that was very, very fun. We'll post more of those photos because they are really funny. Without his shirt on. Before he worked out.
Yeah.
Blurry though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was dark.
Old school cameras.
Well, I'll echo what Kathy said, how I'm a big Bob Odenkirk fan. I love his stuff. And so I watched it and enjoyed him very much. I just have, like I said before, when it's too much, there's too much of the gunfight stuff. If it's, I loved the Hong Kong films, but that was, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Now with John Wick and there's so much. I mean, even like lower end, it's just like that. I get just bored with gunfights because I know that John Wick is not going to die. And I know
it becomes
that,
numbing.
It's just too much. It's just like sometimes God, just give me a little thriller with a really intense gun scene or something. It
Well, I
means
think-
more to me. It's just a genre that I've lost interest in, I guess.
I think
is
partly too. I think partly the problem with these movies, even though they're fun, escape, whatever, there never feels like there's anything at stake. I'm never worried that Odenkirk's going to get killed or hurt. I'm never worried that Keanu Reeves is going to get hurt. Like, so you're watching this and you're watching all the fighting, but you don't feel like it's ever going to go against him. You don't feel scared. There's no suspense.
It's
even though
nameless
there's tons of
bad guys.
action.
Right.
It's nameless
It's-
bad guys you don't know anything about,
Yeah.
So
I think it's part of that genre that's sort of related in a way to first person shooter video game type things,
Yes.
where
Yes.
it maybe kind of appeals to that. Almost, is it time yet for nostalgia for those kind of things, like playing Halo or something, or with combat games where you're just running around, you're basically shooting people, and it's like pow 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 pow, and then you run into this room and it's like pow 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 pow, and it's, I mean, I get sort of tired of video games for the same reason, because it seems like there's just like this repetitive kind of action. It's like, okay, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to kill 35 guys in this parking lot so that I can get to the tank, so that I can then blow up that building, and that's how I complete my quest, and it's like movies in some ways address that video game quest kind of vibe, where it's like, okay, I have to get into this building, and the way to do it is I have to kill 32 guys in the parking lot, and then when I get through them, I have to go inside and I have to use this device and put this thing together with that thing, and it becomes a weapon, and then I shoot them with that. It seems to me to be based on the kind of mechanisms and engineering of video games, as opposed to more like a story. It's
good point.
You're putting pieces together to solve the problem of too many bad guys being alive.
Yeah.
And I think in the video game world, I mean, when you shoot these, you're obviously, it feels good because, or whatever, you're cutting up the slices of fruit in that game on your phone. It's like, oh, that feels great to cut up that lime and that, there's a great sensation,
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what it's that sensation of the whatever, like it just feels good,
It hits the addiction centers in some ways, the satisfaction, especially in a film like this. And my review of it is, I like you guys, I like Odenkirk. I think he was good in this, but I just wish it was a better movie. I wish he was in a better movie. He was in Better Call Saul, and the things that the Breaking Bad and all these things that we love, and he was so great in those, and he had such great writing to work with. And this one is, I think, it's a step down for him as far as the content goes. It was beautifully shot and choreographed and stunted. All that stuff was done really well. But I just didn't care. I didn't care, like you said. I didn't worry. There was no suspense. It was just bam, 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 and then it's over.
Well, I feel like I don't blame an actor for wanting to do something different. Like he's played a lot. Like I would consider kind of cerebral. Like he's Saul Goodman, who's not an action hero at all, and he's in these crime dramas. But I could see him wanting to really break out and be like something super physical and really violent, just to get it out there. And I thought he did a really good job of making it unique and special, even if the on the page it probably read as pretty mundane, but then he brings Odenkirk to it and it becomes a whole other thing, so I liked it for that fact. I mean, this is, like I said, I'm purely going off the Odenkirk factor, that he's such a spectacular presence in this movie that I enjoyed it for that. But overall, I mean, like you said, the villain wasn't scary at all. He was just silly. And and this is very video game, like you said. I'm a big video gamer and a video gamer. Gamer, and at the same time, I still like video games with more story. I don't really enjoy the just shoot 'em ups. They don't, and that's why even John Wick, I love him because of the Keanu Reeves factor. Like you just don't expect him to pull the stuff off, and he's very fun to watch in that.
It feels like it just feels like a factory. Like the producer of John Wick did 3 very popular films with Keanu Reeves, and his pitch is, I'm going to do John Wick, with another kind of actor that you're not going to expect, but it's just put Bob Odenkirk in, bring his star power.
I would throw this guy money and say, please do this movie.
Then he'll do 3 of those, and he's going to go, okay, I'm going to get Gabe Kaplan to do something
Kate
else or what? No, whatever.
Well, did you guys see Hardcore Henry? I guess the same director of Hardcore Henry.
I never saw that, but
I didn't
know
see it because it's all POV and that makes me
Right.
nauseous. But
Yeah.
but that explains like the high level of action too.
Basically, like to me, just kind of feels like, wow, yeah, I'm impressed with your skills of digital effects and all your green screen work that you did and all your choreography blocking and your whatever you did to comp these scenes together seamlessly to make it look like there's no cuts and all that kind of stuff. But the story isn't there.
Right.
It's just
I would love
not
to see
there.
this. I always wonder, like, written scripts, like what is a script like Nobody? Because usually they say, okay, a 90-minute movie, usually about 90 pages of script. It's like 1 minute per page.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine this is a 90-page script.
I can tell you from experience that a lot of times movies like this or TV shows that have a lot of fight action, it'll be the character stuff and then it'll be like, then they fight.
Yeah, big fight sequence to be done later. TBD.
TBD, yeah. And then
is that how they do it? Okay.
And then you have a big meeting with the stunt coordinators, and they use action figures literally on the table. They'll have action figures, and they'll have a little foam core room or cockpit of an airplane or a hallway, and they will go through it and they'll block it move by move. And they work out every detail.
Well, they hire a pro to do that. Like the screenwriter's not going to do that. He's not a choreographer.
Right.
So
right.
I did find the Hardcore Henry trailer. If you guys want me to throw it up there,
sure.
So we watch
check it out.
Let's watch it.
Hello, Henry. Do you remember how you got here? This next part might hurt.
Whoa.
Squeeze?
It's a bit like RoboCop, huh?
Yeah.
That scene, the POV scene in RoboCop.
Husband and wife. I love
Oh,
you, Henry.
gotta have a sex scene in there. POV.
Henry, they want your technology.
How would you like than you?
Already.
The chute! Pull the chute! Hold on, Henry! Henry, fight back! You're capable of more than you think!
It's all right. I'm here to help you. Is your speech module installed? Well, at least we know you're not deaf. Okay, well, the good news is that you're going to live a while. The bad news is there's an army standing between you and your wife. So let's go get her.
Tonight, I'm gonna have myself a real good time. I feel alive.
Ironic pop song.
Same trick in Nobody.
Yeah.
Cause I'm having a good time, having a good time. Shooting star leaping through the sky. Like a tiger, defying
This is pure video game.
Yeah, that's exactly
Insane.
what it is.
Yeah. Kind of a unique idea, though.
It's cool. Actually, I think it's pretty cool. But
I mean,
Yeah,
this to me looks kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah, it does. I'm already kind of seasick just watching the trailer, though.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I can watch
it's
this.
amazing stuff. I mean,
Yeah, I don't even know how they shoot this. Lots of storyboarding.
Swallow that blood in your mouth. Or you're gonna stand up and go spill theirs.
That's Tim Roth.
I know, I was wondering that too, is it?
I think it's the guy from District 9.
Yeah, that's a video game.
That's a video game. And, it did look pretty fun.
Didn't they do a movie of Doom that was literally shot like a first-person shooter POV?
I don't think they did a POV, but I didn't think there was a movie Doom.
Yeah, there was a.
What
Doom
was the
film.
movie? It was like a video game movie. Was not Doom?
I think it was this.
I think it
What
was
was the-
Doom.
What was the one that Duncan Jones directed? That was
World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft.
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
yeah, that one.
Oh
We
my
should
God.
review
Don't
that,
even
huh?
get me started on that. Oh, so, we'll talk a
Doom
brief
was
moment
pretty-
about
was
World of
pretty
Warcraft.
Kathy is she is a gamer.
I love
extraordinaire.
Warcraft. I don't care if it makes me biggest nerd in the world. I love it. But
I had fun playing World of Warcraft.
Warcraft's super fun, but the movie did not get it at all. They completely missed the boat on what is fun about Warcraft. They did not get it. And the company, apparently Blizzard, was fully involved. So that's what. But Warcraft was missing the humor. It was missing the player aspect of like this kind of misfit band of kind of barely there characters who don't quite know what they're doing yet or aren't fully formed fighting all these big heroes. Well, the movie is all about the heroes that is actually the cutscenes in the video game you just don't give a shit about.
Right.
So I'm like, why are we watching the stuff that you're waiting for it to be over so you can keep playing? And they made a whole movie out of that, and they missed the humor. They did not put any humor because Warcraft has tons of humor. They didn't have any fun little Easter eggs for players, like nothing. They completely blew that.
And the places that you get so familiar with when you play the
yeah.
game, like if they had set this in, Orgrimmar or whatever, some of the actual places, so that they did a little bit of fan service to people, and we're like, wow, we're actually seeing Orgrimmar,
so bad.
And
Mistake.
but yeah, they missed the point with that.
Totally
film.
missed the point. It was just and I was so excited about it, and I had a really low, like I was going to forgive him anything because I was so excited to see Travis Fimmel. He's going to be the main character. Oh my god, it was so terrible. Not Duncan. As much as I love him, he was not the right person for this job.
Yeah.
It was originally going to be Sam Raimi, who would have been much better. He would have gotten the humor. He would have gotten the big bombastic feel of it. But
I think you should have directed it.
I should have directed it. I should have done it.
There was a Doom film. I just looked up on.
No, there's
internet.
a Doom film. I just don't think it's POV. Was it?
It did have a first-person shooter sequence, apparently, according to the
fan service. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But we digress
The
because
film
we're talking about
score is
nobody.
by Clint Mansell did the music for Doom.
So I love
If they,
him so much.
the video games, if they do Pong the movie, I'll be there.
Pong, the motion picture.
Everyone's sitting there going, "I love this so much."
Can you see people watching that movie?
Wow,
Isn't that what tennis is?
it's so much bigger in real
Pong.
life.
So anyway, we're going off track, but big
Odenkirk is
action.
great.
Odenkirk's great. He's just fun. You don't have to change the world with this movie. Just watch it and see Odenkirk having the fucking ball.
I will say I loved Odenkirk, and
Loved Odenkirk.
And we'll go from and we'll just take it. We'll leave it at that. For me,
I'm going to second Mark's not my cup of tea kind of a film. I watched it all the way through, and I made it to the end, and I felt like I have no desire to think about that anymore, or watch it again, or ponder it, or tell people that they should see it. It was just sort of, it came and went, and it was there, and then it was over, and it's not, I feel like, one of the things I feel a little shorted on sometimes is like, it doesn't cost any more. It doesn't add any more to your budget to have a better script unless you have to pay more for a better writer. And
do they pay writers by the hour?
they pay them all different ways, but it's it's the cheapest part of your budget.
It is.
I mean, you can pay a writer for a first-time writer can get paid $50,000 for a feature, and that's
the thing is, the
peanuts.
setup was really strong. They just sort of left it, and I feel like they could have incorporated the family more in a more fun way than, like you said, a bunch of strangers come at the end to help him save everything when he didn't need the help.
Yeah. And a better villain. You got to and that's the other thing. If you have a great villain in an action film or a thriller, if you care about the villain, you like the villain in a weird way, you like the villain or something intriguing about the villain, that just doubles the interest.
Exactly.
When you just have a
hero
hero that you like and you have a villain you don't care about, then it's sort of loses.
He was silly and he seemed really easy to kill. I mean, he's just walking around like, why was he hard to kill? He's like this old dude. He wasn't even good. It's like, it was stupid. But anyway. I get why they did it. It's like they just, everyone hates Russians, so let's go ahead and kill some Russians. But I do feel like the wife could have been incorporated better. I mean, we had, she's a good actress, so why are we not using her?
she's
Connie
a good, I
Nielsen's
think,
great.
Yeah.
I
So
imagine she's a really good. She would have been really great partner for him at the end if they had to have somebody come in and help him. It would have been cool if it had been revealed at the end that she was also a badass and that she
Right.
shows up to help him. And she's
yeah, I
like,
would rather she showed up than these
Then
people we
Christopher
didn't know.
Lloyd. Or
yeah,
Yeah. So that would have been cool. And I think mostly it's a bunch of little set pieces that I'd love to see Odenkirk do, and I saw them in the trailer, and I
Yeah.
loved seeing them again in the trailer, but I don't need to see the whole movie because I saw all the great stuff in the trailer. So
Yeah.
I mean, even the
That's-
scene with the kitty in the interrogation room, just Odenkirk's so great in that.
I'll amend myself. If the trailer, if I didn't see the trailer, if the trailer was pared down to nothing or very little, then the movie would have been a lot more enjoyable because I would not have known what was coming.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know what
the
it is
problem.
with trailers these days of showing the entire movie in the trailer. It makes me
pitiful.
nuts.
It's
Sometimes they'll even show the endings. Like, why?
yeah, oh yeah.
You can tell too when you're seeing an entire movie. You can tell. It's like,
Well, the problem with it is because the fact that there wasn't more of a story. They didn't have anything to put in the trailer other than the action scenes. If there had been a story, they could have told a little bit of the story in the trailer, and you might have been compelled to see the film with the realization that there are action scenes. To hint at these action scenes, but to show you the people and the story, and like if there was some kind of intriguing story that you're like, oh, I wonder how that turns out. I wonder what happens. I wonder how he
don't
does
you want to
that,
know if Odenkirk lives at the end of this? You want to know if he lives through that? That's very true. That would have been a great trailer for this. Even though, I mean, again, it was a great trailer because it made me want to see the movie, and I did. It was effective. But at the same time, I'd love the trailers to just take a short scene from the film, and it's just a clip, one scene, and it leaves you going, oh, what? Like, I want to see that. Like, I feel like they could have done that with the bus scene. That could have been your scene.
Absolutely.
And it would have been like, I'm seeing that. And just a little scene, like he looks kind of like he's not going to be able to do anything. And then boom, 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 he's doing something. End of story. And then you still have a lot that you could see. But again, the trailer was effective because it made us all watch it. So
another technique is that you show that scene, you show him sitting there in the bus, and you see these guys come on the bus, and you see them messing with this girl. And then you see him, you show a shot of him, and then you cut to a shot of the aftermath, and you're like, whoa, what happened? And that's another technique for making a trailer that they used to use in the olden days that made you think,
olden days.
Yeah, in the olden days of trailers where they would show you something that you're like, oh, what's gonna happen? And they don't show you what happens, but they show you that something happened.
And they have that great voiceover, which doesn't happen anymore either.
Yeah.
Don't have that
Only one
voiceover.
man.
What they should have done is showed the setup for the bus scene. Odenkirk, what they showed in the trailer, emptying the gun and going, I'm gonna fuck shit up. End of a trailer. Done.
End of the trailer. That's
You don't know.
It's a 30-second teaser trailer.
And then maybe a quick cut, like you said, do a bunch of broken bodies on the ground. There, done.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going
Or
to
a shot of or a reaction shot. Maybe the bus driver standing outside of the bus going,
I'm wondering if the director or Odenkirk or saw the trailer and just sort of like, oh shit, like they showed the whole movie.
Yeah,
that
happens.
Wonder,
very often filmmakers and actors do not like the marketing, whether it's like the trailer gives away too much or it's not the vision they had for even the how they think their film is portrayed through the trailer.
Like
they don't a lot of times like the posters. Very few people have a say over their own posters or trailers. And the same filmmakers do not make the trailers. They're completely separate. You're done with your movie. You're pretty much bye. You're done. Now the studio is going to take over and you're not going to be involved unless you're, like J.J. Abrams, somebody like that who is completely, utterly involved. But So,
anyway.
I'm sure I'd love to hear from this guy whether he likes the trailer. I mean, if it's a hit movie, which apparently it is, and the trailer got a ton of buzz, a lot of people were talking about it because, again, we'll talk. I don't know how many. I think it should be a drinking game. How many times I say Odenkirk in this episode? You have Odenkirk doing this. That creates all the buzz you want, and everyone's dying to see Saul again. It was.
It's also trailers. Trailers years ago in the olden days, you watched the trailer before a movie in the theater, or you watched a little 30-second commercial. That was it. Now you can watch hundreds of trailers on your computer, and so
over and over.
So they have to sort of, elevate them above the other stuff. So I mean, I get it from a marketing and business point of view. They're here to make money, for me, it's almost like I don't want to watch a trailer to a movie I want to see because I don't want to know anything about it.
Yeah, a
And
lot of
maybe
times.
if I said, no mas, let's not watch it.
I do that a lot where there's a movie coming up that I want to see that I'd only watch maybe the first teaser. Like, I'm really excited about Dune coming out soon in the future. And I'm very reluctant to see more trailers for it.
But we all know how it ends.
I know that's not a good example because
But no, you
I
still
do know
you-
what happens.
Yeah,
True, but
totally.
you still
Don't wanna
even
all
want
the
to get
surprises.
you don't want to ruin the theatrical, the experience of watching the film.
I love
Another
being
thing-
surprised in movies. I love things
Yeah.
that happen in a film like, whoa, where did that come from? Or I had no idea that's what this movie was. That's the turn they were
Right.
going to take in this film.
Well, let's go back to the original Alien teaser trailer.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was
Yeah,
about to
that's-
mention that one.
that's a classic because
Yeah.
you're just
Yeah.
like, what? I remember seeing it at the theater, but I forgot what movie I was seeing, but it was 1979 or something. And I was like, what? That is so alien looking. What is that? I
Yeah.
have no idea what that. And then I knew going to that movie, I had no idea what the alien was. And it was just a mind blowing experience for me. And I
Well,
want to
those
I want
special
that again,
shoots,
the
the special shoot trailer is really expensive, and they just don't do them very often because
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
movie's done, and you don't want to have to go in and recreate all the stuff to do a special shoot. I mean, even for TV shows, like I'm always amazed, and I always want, in doing marketing, I want them to do a special shoot trailer. I have in my head like, this would be great if we could do this. No, we're just gonna do a clip trailer. It's like clip trailers.
Well, a lot of times,
But
during
what
the
was cool
production-
too. Well, I just want to bring it real quick about this trailer. I noticed in this trailer they had the nobody graphics. They had the gritty strip of white that was in the trailer that had
Right.
the little notes on the film, and that tied into the poster directly, which never happens. So I give them points for they had a really cohesive marketing campaign that they actually tied in the trailer to the poster, which often doesn't happen.
right?
So that was kind of nice. They brought
Yeah.
the graphics back and forth, and I would love to know if that Odenkirk, if Odenkirk did a special shoot of people shooting, punching and pushing his face around,
Right.
or if they did all that in Photoshop, or what was that a special shoot? It had to be, I assume. But
Yeah.
I'd love to see that shoot.
Well, a lot of
All
times
right.
in productions like film or television productions, there will be the scenes or the shots or the character alignments or whatever, and they'll say, okay, this is our trailer shot here. This is going to be in the trailer. So they'll sometimes take a little bit of extra time to work on that shot because they know that this is going to be the shot in the trailer.
And then it won't be, and they'll be all pissed off about it.
right.
That happens all the time. Trailer company goes, nah, too obvious. Let's do this.
Yeah. Good Lord.
Movie marketing, so much fun. All
Well,
right.
That's our take on Bob Odenkirk's hit movie, Nobody.
We were very excited about seeing it. Some of us were not as excited after seeing it, but we did see it. So $60 or however much for the film
Yeah.
company that we paid to watch that early.
It's a bit much too. Yeah.
Well, early
know?
release, sometimes I'll pay because I'm like, how much to go the dearly departed ArcLight?
I know.
Oh,
It'll be back. It'll be back.
It'll be back. It'll be back. It'll be back. I'm gonna keep saying that. ArcLight will be back. It will be back.
But don't forget to like, subscribe,
And
comment.
comment and
Boom.
and-
Where's our scoop? Dude, everyone awake now? There.
Yeah.
You're
Did
welcome.
did your Klipschorn speakers blow out your glass?
Because we know everybody watched the very end, was watching this. We should be doing this a lot earlier, by the way. All right.
Okay.
See you guys next time. Let us know what you think of Nobody in the comments, whether you like how you feel about the trailer versus the movie, and were they basically the same thing? We'd like to know.
And do you play video games? And do you feel marketed to when you see films like this, like John Wick and this one? And do you feel like they're kind of trying to capitalize on the addiction that you have to going pow, 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 pow?
Keep in mind, passive entertainment very different from active entertainment, which is video
Yeah.
games where you're involved and there's
Right.
something at stake because you don't want to die, versus just watching somebody else playing that's annoying the fuck out of you because you know they're not going to die and they're not good at it.
But
And
like
that's
video
how I
games
look.
kind of going towards things where you basically just kind of click an option and then you sort of watch how it plays out. I've seen some
Mhm.
video games like that where I
Yep.
felt less involved. There's some where you're totally walking through the environment and it's open environment. But then there's others where when you make a choice,
It's a story.
it tells you that story instead of other story. I don't know.
They're getting a
but-
lot more sophisticated with that though. Now it feels
Yeah.
like it feels like you're involved in the decision making, and it's not as rote where it's like pick yes, and then they show you a scene, and
So there's still a
the
place for
decision.
movies.
Yes.
We can
in the
still
pop
see movies,
culture
I think.
landscape.
And if everybody's still into Pong like me, just comment on
Oh,
it. One from Mark.
Long
That's
motion
not this
picture.
guy.
Well, there was a
Oh, Mark.
battleship. There was a
Well, of
battleship
course, with Mark's
movie.
internet, only Pong would work probably.
Pong and what was the
You
one?
remember
after
the
that?
battleship movie? There was literally
No.
Oh, I'm
Oh yeah,
sure.
that's right. I do remember that.
You
Yeah.
Sunk My Battleship, which is basically a game where you call out a number and you stick a thing in a board, and
Did I blow you up?
it's like the simplest game, and they made a feature film out of
They
that
sure did.
concept
And
somehow.
even like the bomb, the whatever they were, the bombs were like the little pegs from the
Yeah.
game. They were the same color or the same shape. It was like
Yeah.
oh my
Life
God.
was so simple when you played board games.
Starring Rhiannon.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. Bye, nobody.
Bye,
Bye,
nobody.
nobody.
Thanks
Anybody?
for
Bye.
joining us.
Bye, anybody?
See you
Hello?
next time.
Hello?
Bye, everybody. Bye.